Do you believe that our immigration system is built on white supremacy?
No, sir.
Well, you said it, Professor. Now, did you lie here, or are you lying to us today?
Senator Kennedy, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to all the members of our panel for being here today. Ms. Nobles, I'm sorry. I don't have a daughter. I have a son. If what happened to your daughter happened to my son, I don't know if I could ever recover. I don't know why bad things happen to good people. If I make it to heaven, I'm going to ask. I'm just sorry.
Thank you.
I don't know anybody in the United States Senate who has worked harder to implement and control, well, let me amend that, to implement an immigration policy that looks like somebody designed it on purpose than Senator John Cornyn. The problem we've had in the last 3 years is that except until recently, when it became a political issue, President Biden just didn't care. And sometimes when a person acts like he doesn't care, it's not an act. And that's why we have way more, Professor Wong, than 60,000 minors, many of whom are being trafficked, sexually trafficked today in our country. And I suspect you know that. Professor Wong, you're a professor from California, is that right?
Yes.
And you were invited here as an expert today by our Democratic colleagues?
Yes.
Okay. You're on the board of directors of the California Immigrant Policy Center. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
And I'm looking at your website. You and the center believe, I want to quote, if that's okay. According to you and the center, quote, the immigration enforcement system is built on white supremacy, economic exploitation, and criminalization, and must be dismantled, end quote. Is that correct?
I'm not aware of that statement.
Here it is, right from your website, and you're on the board of directors. Do you believe that our immigration system is built on white supremacy?
No, sir.
Well, you said it, Professor. Now, did you lie here, or are you lying to us today?
No, I did not write that statement. That I'm on the board of directors of an organization called the California Immigrant Policy Center that advocates for legislative changes in the state of California to improve the lives of immigrants. I'm not aware of that statement.
Well, you ought to go look at your website.
Are you talking about my personal website?
I'm talking about the California Immigrant Policy Center.
Yes, I'm not aware of that statement on the California Immigrant Policy Center's website.
That the immigration enforcement system in America today is, quote, built on white supremacy.
That's not my statement.
Yes, it is.
That's not my statement.
You're on the board. It's built on economic exploitation and it's built on criminalization, and it must be dismantled. You also say, you in the center, that you want to, quote, strategically push ICE out of our communities across California, end quote. Wow.
So an extensive body of research shows that interior immigration enforcement, to the extent that ICE partners with local police, has chilling effects across immigrant communities and their families.
Did you listen to Ms. Noble's testimony?
Yes, I did, with great concern.
Yeah. You think getting rid of ICE is going to help young women not be raped and murdered by MS-13 gang members? Is that your answer to
No, that's
bringing
not.
justice to Mrs. Noble's daughter? Is to
No.
call her a white supremacist and say that she believes in economically exploiting people?
No, that's not. You are attributing a statement to me that I did not make.
Yes, sir, you did. It's on your website.
Time has expired, Senator. I think it's inappropriate to call people liars in this hearing. I hope that we'll be very careful. The witnesses are under oath, and to say that they are lying is to accuse them of something close to a crime. And I think that term should be carefully used. Senator Hawley?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to all of the witnesses for being here. Ms. Pacheco, if I could just start with you. Your organization, the Dream.us, you provide support for undocumented young people for college and career success. Is that broadly right? Am I getting it right?
That's correct.
And among the things you do is you provide scholarships to these undocumented students. Have I got that correct?
That's right.
And so college scholarships, just to be clear.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Can you tell me, maybe you know the answer to this, maybe you don't, any of the students, do you know if any of the students to whom your organization has provided a college scholarship are currently part of the encampments on any of these college campuses, like the picture you see behind me? I'm sure we've all seen these videos.
No, Senator.
Nobody to whom you provide scholarships are part of the encampments?
I do not know.
You don't know. What about, do you know if any of the students to whom you provided scholarships have physically threatened Jewish students on campus?
I do not know.
Here's why I'm asking. NBC News just reported, and I'm just going to quote now from the article, quote, this is Columbia University, a Columbia undergraduate who provided only her initials because she is an undocumented immigrant and fears deportation, said last week she spent hours a day in the encampment. This would be the illegal encampment that's in violation of the law as well as campus policy. Spent hours a day in the encampment, I'm quoting still now, before university officials threatened to suspend those students. The article goes on, she joined, this student, joined a supplies platoon. That's a subgroup formed by pro-Palestinian campus organizers, end quote. Let me just review some of the things that these students, these in the encampments, that is, are saying. And of course, we often don't know who these students are. They're concealing their identities. This is, I'm going to read to you now, and I just warn folks, this is not pleasant stuff, but these are the facts, and we have to tell the truth. This is just from last night at George Washington University. That's here in this town. They projected, the students in the encampment there projected onto various buildings images of the United States flag being burned with the graphics, Gaza lights the spark that will set the empire ablaze. They projected the following: long live the student intifada. Down with the settler state. That would be the state of Israel, I suppose. Glory to the martyrs of Palestine. It's a jihadist slogan. Stained with the blood of 44,000 Palestinians. That's last night at GW. Also at GW, they're now calling for beheading, the student encampment, beheading of individuals who support the state of Israel, including holding a people's tribunal where they're putting on trial, quote unquote, various members of their own board of trustees and calling for a guillotine. Here's Columbia University students on April the 20th, 2024. This is all public record. I'm reading this now. This is on, I guess it's X. Columbia University students yelling at Jewish students, and I quote, "Never forget October 7th. It will not happen, it will happen, not one more time, not 5 more times, not 10, not 100, not 1,000, but 10,000 times. The 7th of October is going to be every day for you." The 7th of October, this is to Jewish students, is going to be every day for you, end quote. I guess my question is, Ms. Pacheco, and for anybody else on the panel too, shouldn't we be deporting these students? If we have undocumented students who are here unlawfully in the country who are violating the law, let's just be clear here now, this is a violation of the law, and if they're also deliberately inciting persecution of a person on account of their race, which surely calling for the murder of Jews does that, shouldn't we be deporting them? Does anybody think we shouldn't be? Shouldn't we be deporting these students who are here unlawfully? Ms. Pacheco?
Senator, we expect a lot from our scholars, and the scholars and the students that I know love this country, respect this country, and want to and enrich not only the campuses, but also this country.
That's fantastic. And I hope and bet that none of the people that you sponsor are part of this. And I certainly hope that's the case. But I just wondered, is there anybody on the panel who thinks that we should not deport students who are here unlawfully, who are engaging in this activity, who are calling for the death of Jewish students, who are violating the laws of the United States? I mean, shouldn't we be deporting these people? Does anybody want to defend it and say, no, we shouldn't? They should absolutely be here. I think it's indefensible. The record reflects there's total silence from the panel. You know, I also think we ought to cancel the student visas, and I've called for this. For those who are here from other countries with a visa, I think if they're part of this, we ought to be canceling their visas. We ought to send a clear message. Actually, Ms. Pacheco, I think it was you in your opening statement put it really beautifully about how part of what we're talking here today represents the character of the country. I think that's very appropriate. And we need to send a message about this activity, not just about the trespassing and the destruction of buildings. That's bad. That's unlawful. But the threats of violence, and in some cases the outright acts of violence against Jewish students, we should send a moral message that if you do that and you are here unlawfully, you should be deported. If you are here on a student visa, you ought to have your visa canceled. This is the United States of America, and we are not going to stand for it. And I would just hope we could speak with one moral voice on this issue. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.